Hello and welcome to today's FileMaker webinar. My name is Mike Crook. I'm the Demand Generation Manager here at FileMaker in EMEA. I have with me Kieran Saunders, our FileMaker Product Specialist.
Good afternoon.
So today Kieran's going to be doing a FileMaker design session for you, which we hope you'll find very, very useful. Before he gets started on that, I'd just like to say if you have any questions during the course of the session, feel free to ask them using the questions panel that you'll find on the right-hand side of your screen. And we'll do our best to address as many of those as we can towards the end. That's all you'll hear from me until that session at the end. So without any further ado, I shall hand over to Kieran to get started. Kieran.
Thanks, Mike. And thank you everyone for attending us today. Let's have a look at the agenda and what we're going to cover today. So we're going to look at just how to start. So you've downloaded FileMaker, you're in your trial period. What are the paths you can take to starting off your custom app? We're going to be looking in more detail into importing from a spreadsheet. We're then going to sort of take a sort of higher view around how you design a custom app, what kind of methodologies are out there, and we'll be picking one user-centered design methodology to look at how users view and how you involve users in that design to get the best out of it for the business. And then we'll quickly look at some of the tools, building a layout, and just have a look at actually using the tool itself. After that, it's not on the agenda, but then we'll go to questions, and you can answer your questions around anything you'd like me or Mike to answer. Okay, so let's look at getting started. So obviously you've downloaded FileMaker Pro. I've got FileMaker Pro Advanced, which I'd advise you getting a copy as well for the trial. And so to start off, you've got three ways you could get started. You could go up to File, New Solution, open up a new solution, give it a name, and save it onto the desktop. When you open up, it's a completely open and empty solution. Similar if, for example, if you brought up a spreadsheet or any other programming platform, you open up and it is empty. It's ready for you to get going, for you to add in all of the different components, including the layout, the forms that your users will use. If we go into the database, so we're going to the database and the sort of things you're going to be tracking, customer information, invoices, projects, stock information, whatever you're having your biggest issues with and what you want to track within your custom app, manage those workflows. Of course, the sort of individual bits of information that you want to track around those things and how that data relates to each other. And the other big component, of course, is the actual what we call scripting, but the workflow management. So again, this is all empty, but you would add your new scripts into putting on either some kind of a trigger, whether the user goes to a layout or clicks on a button. For example, maybe it's just as simple as a navigation script. So you could go to layout and put navigation buttons on the layout to navigate around your custom app. So let's say that you're not quite ready yet to start from absolute scratch. So where else can we start from? Well, one way, of course, is to start from some information you already have. So I've got an inventory file here in a spreadsheet. As you can see along the top here, I've got item, category, a sort of section here for an image, the manufacturer of the year. So let's take, for example, that we're talking around a department that has to manage, say, the facilities team, that has to manage all of the items that are within the office, maybe get loaned out to people, certainly get bought in and so on. So they're using a spreadsheet, but they're really struggling with that business process. So they really want to start tracking that a bit better. So they've already got a sort of baseline of data, if you like. So how can we get that in? And then we'll talk about the other way that you would get going. So let's go from there and start bringing in that spreadsheet data. So on a Mac, I can go straight over to the FileMaker Pro icon and let it go. So then they're going to ask me whether the first row is data or is it the field names. Is it the labels for the data? In this case, it was, as you saw, that I just showed you. So we'll click OK on that, give it a name, and again, drop it onto the desktop. And that data has now been brought in. It's completed those, it's brought in the labels and the data in that spreadsheet. So let's just go and very quickly look at how that looks as I showed you the screen just a minute ago. So we've got the inventories table, so the spreadsheet, and the fields that go along with it. And at the moment we've got just one table, so there's no relating of data between the two. It's created two layouts for us, layout 1 and layout 2. Layout 1, of course, you can change all of this. Is just to give you an idea, just so you can see the data. So this is a sort of a form view, if you like, one item at a time, and the other in layout 2 is a table view. That is just the data with no formatting. So every single one of these, if I go back to layout 1, every single one of these forms can be viewed as any of those. So if I just flip between form and table quickly, you can see that this layout is exactly the same, layout 1, layout 2. But we can view every layout, can look at the data in a different way. The other that doesn't make too much sense there, if I flip to layout 2 and then bring that into a list view, you can see that we can also list the data going down. Very helpful for reports and potentially maybe printing off some labels like barcodes in this case, potentially. Okay, so we've got some layouts. I don't believe we've got any scripts, no, so no scripts at the moment. And we've just got the layout. So let's see what we can do very quickly with this data that we've got. So we go to Edit Layout, and we can start changing the data, how it looks, how it behaves, the size of the screen. So let's just say we're going to get rid of this transactional data. That's not important for this particular form. Maybe we're going to put some of this stock information over to the right-hand side. I'm going to bring this down. You can see how I'm lassoing the data and the items on the form, and I can bring move them en masse. So I'll move those down a bit, and I think this label and file here, I can get rid of the label. It's just the label, but the actual where the data is going to go, I can bring in an image. So that's going to be potentially an image later on. So, I mean, it's much better than it was. Let's see what else we can do. Well, we can bring in a logo. Any sort of image file you can just drag on to the screen and start using. You can put some textual data on it as well. Sorry, some text, and give it a name. Bring that out. And you've got lots of tools within FileMaker, of course. One of them is all of these text tools, so I can make that a little bit bigger. And you can see, hopefully, this little blue line that comes up. You can see there's some sort of helpful guides when I'm dragging items along to make things centered and look nice. Okay, so let's have a look at this. And I don't know about you, but I'm seeing the sort of black and grey, and I'm thinking it's a little bit boring. So let me introduce you to themes and styles very quickly. So here we've got the information of what theme we're on. If we just click on this button here, we can see that we've got a family of themes, and we've got a little sort of a preview of what it may look like. And as we go through, you can see there's an enlighten print, which is obviously for maybe a printed report, very white, not a lot of color, a sort of blackish theme, and a few others as we move down. So those themes allow you to change the look feel of a form very, very quickly, and also not in this screen, but as you go through, you can change every item into a style. In this example here, say a button had a button style, a field here had or a drop down in this case had a style that you save into, give it a name. The checkboxes here and the tab itself, this tab control, could have a style and a look feel. You could save that all into your own custom theme altogether, and that could be the company theme for this custom app. Anyway, so let's see how that looks when I change it. So instantly, all the components have changed: the font, the look feel, the background here, obviously. And as you add more sort of items onto here, you'll see that they can change. So that's great. So I've got a kind of a form view, but what would be nice is to have a list view of all these bits, this inventory, and then be able to navigate into a more of a form view. So let's go ahead and do that. Before I do, I'm just going to go and manage these layouts. I'm going to delete layer 2. I don't need that one. I'm just going to edit layer 1 and give it a name. Great. And then we can start off a new layout. I'm going to call it inventory list, and you'll see how it all works together in a minute. You can choose which device that you're going to start designing this for. So of course in FileMaker, the clients include the iPads and iPhones, and of course you can use them across a Mac and a Windows machine. So you can target which device this user on this layout is going to use. So in this case, we want to choose the list on a computer, which is fine. Great, let's have a look at how that looks. I think that's put that behind. So let me just go. So there's the list view that it's just created for us. So you can see we've got a header, a body, and a footer. Let's just bring this body out a bit. So I'm going to want to put a picture in there, give myself some room. So the next component I want to introduce you to is the field picker tool. And this is all the bits of data that we've brought in via the spreadsheet in this case. And let's see what we want. Well, what I'd quite like is a picture of the inventory on the left-hand side. So I'm just going to change that to a different type. So we've got different types of data, of course, textual data, numbers, and FileMaker's unique sort of name for a blob type, which is in other databases, is container. So containers, I think, is a great word to describe it because it contains anything. It will hold Word documents, PDFs, pictures, signatures, video, sound, anything you like. So it's a great component. It really works extremely well when you bring it to the iPad because of how many things the iPad can do. It can take video and pictures, for example, take a signature and a barcode, and it all works through this field type. So let's drag that on. And that's great. Let me just give myself a little bit of room and make that more square-like. We don't need that bigger picture. Great. And let's bring in a few bits of information so that we can identify it. So in this case, I'm actually going to, as I drag them on, I want the labels to be up the top and I want the fields to be next to each other. So let's select a few of these. Maybe the stock value is quite a good one in this case. So I'm going to drag those on. And you can see the labels now are in the header view, and I'll explain why that's important in just a second. So we just drag the actual fields down, and let's just drag these up. So I'm lassoing them and moving them around. Great, okay. So I'm just going to save that out. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so as you can see, the header part to this form doesn't repeat. It stays current there. And if we could scroll down, I'm trying to scroll down, but we're just fitting the. Actually, if I do that, you can see that the header part stays at the top, so you can see what the data is, and the body part is repeating via the number of records you've got in the database, or obviously the found set when you do some kind of query and find all of those particular, let's say, a category. Actually, let's do that now. If I just change some of this data, as you can see, I can do that within this and make two records the same. I can right click and find two bits of data, and you can see that we're just finding one particular category of inventory. Go back to show all. Okay, so what else could we do here? Well, what would be nice is to maybe bring in some of those pictures. So I've got a little folder here with only two in, but we can drag those over. Same as I did with the layout, but in this case, you're not doing it in the edit layout mode, you're doing it within what we call the browse mode here. If I bring up the view menu, it might make more sense. So I'm sure you know, but if you don't, if you really are just starting out, layout mode is where you do your design work. So that's what I do when I hit the edit layout button. I go into layout mode. Browse mode is using the system. It's what you would lock all the users in through the security to just being able to go into browse mode. And find mode obviously is finding, which also you can disallow for some users if you need to. And preview is what it will look like when you print it potentially. So a report or an invoice, for example. So let's go into this layout and let's, no, sorry, I was going to drop in some pictures, wasn't I? So again, it's just as easy as dropping those into the relevant container fields there. So there you go, that's great. So we've got a few pictures there. What else can we do to make this a bit better? Well, we could certainly bring in that logo if we wanted to, and shrink that up into the top there. That looks great. Another thing that I wanted to introduce you to, and I'll show you before I do it, you can see that when we're on the record here, when we're clicking on the record, you're going to, these kind of boxes here, it doesn't look too bad when you're not on a record, but when you're selecting a record, the sort of field to highlight. Let's see if we can fix that by selecting these fields, bringing up the inspector window, which is where all the sort of design magic happens. You can see you've got 4 icons along the top here. One is around sort of positioning, hence the ruler. You can give objects a name, and a tooltip, which is the sort of pop-up menu as you hover over an object to give users further information or help. You can position them to the in this case the centimeter or the point value, very, very precise. I'll show you the resizing, I think, in a minute as well. But this is all about objects and their sort of positioning. And you've got, if I let's quickly zoom up there. We've got styles, and again, I'll go into some detail in a minute around that, and the theme, the sort of appearance of objects. So really down to the fine granularity, sort of how it looks, the color, in this case, look, the gradient, lines around objects, and loads of other settings for an object. Another one is much more based around fields. So where is the data coming from? Is it a drop down or a pop up or any other control style? Whether it's you're able to get into this system in browse mode. So that's how easy it is to sort of make these fields sort of more user friendly rather than secure, but and not sort of accidentally allow people to go into this field and change the data. And same with find mode, and again lots of other options here. So what I was going to do is just to show you these styles and how they work. So at the moment we're on a default for this particular object, and we've got 2 other styles. Again, like I was saying, you can create your own, but the one I was looking for, I think, is minimal, and you can see already it's changed the sort of look feel of it. So if I go into browse mode, you can see, in my opinion, that looks much better. Only when you go into a field does it sort of highlight and look like an entry field. Otherwise, it looks great. It looks more like a report, especially when I've maybe tidied it up a little bit and put in some more pictures. Okay, so I think that's enough from there. So that was Excel in and how I start building up a file. Oh, before I leave, actually, there was one last thing I did want to do. I wanted to just put a button on and show you that as well. So let's just make some of these a bit smaller. Let's give ourselves some room. What I want to do is put in a button, which is the control type, the icon up here. So a single click to select it, and then you draw the button on in this case. So a button could be textual, or you could have an icon. So in this case, I just want a sort of arrow to highlight that I'm going further into this inventory. So what I want to do here is that click, go into more details. So I can sort of increase that icon, and then I want to give it a script step. In this case, I just want a single step. I don't want a more complex multi-line script. I just want a very simple navigational script, and I think I showed it to you before. So I can type over here on the right hand side and find the script hopefully that I'm looking for. So go to layout. The wonderful thing about FileMaker is that even though the scripting language is it really, I mean, it literally does run businesses. You can really support very complex workflows. It's very much natural language. Go to layout is a navigational script. You don't have to, you could teach sort of a 6-7-year-old sort of this level of programming. It's very I think extremely easy to learn the basics. Of course, anything in programming gets more complex the more complex your work process that you're trying to map, but a lot of it is very simple. So not only do you get a little bit of help down the bottom, but you've also go to our online help that gives you a much more detailed description, and more importantly, I think, the examples of how it would work. So in this case here, we've got a very simple if statement. If it's finding the application as an iPad, go to layout customer's iPad. So a bit more complex. So that's great. That's the one I want. So you just double click to bring that into the script and choose which layout in this case you want to go to. So I'm going into the details. So I'm going to select inventory details, which again is sort of written here now. Go to layout inventory details. Great. Okay, that. Exit the layout. It's very subtle, but maybe you can see the color changing. Maybe if I just change the style. Let's move that over. Change it to a bluer color. Maybe you'll see the hovering a little bit clearer. It is very subtle. There's a slight on hover change, so it looks more like a button. And then hopefully clicking on that will bring us into the detail. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a very quick introduction to bringing a spreadsheet into FileMaker and then starting to make use of it. We've got a very simple system here, but much better than the spreadsheet was already. Okay. Right. So the next way you would get started is potentially through one of our starter solutions. These are templates. Oh, not new solution, sorry. File getting started. And choose a starter solution. And there's a series of different starter solutions, or like I say, templates, starting with a contacts sheet. Very simple. Most of the new ones in FileMaker 15, when you download them, are very simple. The more complex ones are down the bottom. I'll show you how to get to them in a minute. The one we're going to be using is the inventory system, the inventory starter solution. So we'll look at that in a minute. There's content management, which is for your digital assets. A nice little task one. That's a very nice one. Very simple, but a nice little task manager. And then you can see here, you can go through to more advanced ones where you've got an invoices, which has customers, products, or services, and invoice lines, and printing off your invoices and sending them to customers, PDFing. That's quite a nice one. An event management one, which is quite nice, and a projects one, which is much more detailed than the newer one, which is like I say, all of these are much more simple and more designed for people just getting started to learn. And let's look at where we are. So let's look at, we've looked at how to start, and we've imported from a spreadsheet, which has been great. Let's have a look at sort of, like I say, sort of zoom out a little bit and have a look at how to design a custom app. So the one we're going to be looking at is user-centered design. So the basic sort of principles are that it's just very, very useful to observe users in their office, in the factory, on the road, whatever their jobs are, and actually don't make assumptions about what's going on. Actually be there, go through it with the user, and do it with them. The other thing is to really think about technology helping people, not buying something that you think might help, but actually really thinking about it, involving the user and making the technology serve the users. And the last and most critical is that you should never roll out any custom app without first testing it with the end users, the people that really are going to be using it, not the person that's managing the project, certainly not yourself. It should be testing with the end users. So another great thing to sort of think about when you're going through design is to think differently, and it's not often that a software tool will tell you that really you shouldn't use FileMaker straight away. You shouldn't use our tool straight away to design your custom app. You should really roll back and think, okay, let's sit down with the users and let's use other tools. Maybe it is some software design tool, but one of the best that keeps on coming up again, the more designers I meet, the more this comes out, is using paper and pencil. Do some whiteboarding with users, borrow design patterns from other places. So a design pattern is looking at an app or a system, maybe even our starter solutions, and looking at how we're doing things. So in our starter solution, every starter solution has a list view. There's a list of all the products, the sort of whatever they may be, the products or the customers, and then from then you will go into a detailed view. So that's an example of a design pattern. So having a looking at an app and doing it from there is a great idea. And the other thing to remember, and it's very, very hard, but remember that more things on one screen is not necessarily better. In fact, it's probably a lot worse. So making things, as the designers would say, clean, giving white space to areas. You can use more than one screen. You can have multiple layouts, as many as you want, and that's probably a better thing than trying to put the whole business onto one form. So really thinking about the process. So that little icon, that little picture on the left-hand side there is if you've only got one tool, you're gonna treat every problem with that tool. So the other thing that's obvious when you first see it, but it really you've got to really think about this when you're going through your design, and it's defining goals rather than features. If you look at this product, you go through the features. It's got four wheels. It's using rubber tires, it's this, that, and the other, the features of what makes it work, and you're coming up, you'll probably think, okay, that's a car. But it's until you actually think about what its goal is, what's its purpose, and in this case, when you start looking that way, it's cutting grass and it's comfortable to sit on over bumpy ground, and suddenly potentially you're looking at a lawnmower or a sit-on lawnmower. So it's really worth looking at what are the goals of a system, not its features. It's not about the buttons and the cool graph that animates and so on and so forth. It's really about its goals. So a good little technique, and this goes back to probably a bit about the white space and not putting everything on one screen, is to use a squint test. So you literally just squint up your eyes and you look at your layout, in this case our website, and you sort of see what really comes out, what highlights, what are the important things. And if the important things that come out from the squint test are not really the important things, then you should maybe go back to the drawing board and look at the design of that form. So in order to aid you, certainly with building these goals, is to have a look at a brief that brings out the goals. So it's the design for who, to do what, with what features and which goals. So in this case, we want to build an inventory tracking system for the facilities team to check out assets with speed and accuracy. So what else would be important? What are the goals? Well, it'd be important to know when an asset was checked out or lent out or given, who the asset was given to, how much the asset cost. Capture maybe a signature would be quite good. Some notes maybe, and maybe overall a little report on the stock levels, or at least that information. So bringing up the inventory starter solution, let's bring some data in. So you could just start from here and start hitting new record and adding those things in manually. But of course, we've already got this spreadsheet with some of this data in. So let's see how you bring in some spreadsheet data into an existing FileMaker solution, into a custom app that maybe someone else has built or you've built before. Very useful. So file, import file. We're looking for a spreadsheet, and just before I do that, let's just see what files you can import into FileMaker through FileMaker Pro. Of course, other FileMaker Pro files you can import data from. This is quite useful actually in that you can import images that are in a FileMaker file. It's very hard to bring them in from a texture file, well, nay, impossible. Spreadsheet data, DB files, and merge files, which are files with the label at the top. So these tab and comma separated files are exactly what they say on the box. It's data, textual data, separated by a comma or a tab, and that's how you pass through that data and bring it in. So in this case, we're just bringing in a spreadsheet, Excel in this case. And let's bring that in. Okay. So we want to bring it in, and just let me explain this dialog box. So on the left-hand side here, all the way sort of on this top half, the source is the spreadsheet. On the right is FileMaker, is where it's targeting. You can create a new table, a new spreadsheet within the database. But in this case, we do want to bring it into the inventory database. The important one down here is don't import first record, contains fields name, same as when we imported it into a blank file. And I'm going to match the names. You can match names, you'll see, so that the item column on the spreadsheet comes into the item field in FileMaker. You can swap these around manually like so, and choose whether they come in or not by clicking on the arrow in the middle there. So that's how this works. If you're not finding the right target field, you could go off into Manage Database and add that field here. So maybe we wanted I don't know, name or age or whatever it may be, date of manufacturer, who knows. You could add that into the file, and then you could match it up with the relevant spreadsheet column. Okay, that's all matched up then. I'm happy with that, and I can bring it in. So this next little option is just in case you've got certain fields that include a modification date, serial numbers, lookups, and so on. It's worth playing with this. Maybe if you're not used to it, have a look at what it looks like if you tick this box or not. But it's very useful, I think, in the Start Solutions ticket, because it's bringing in those auto numbers, those serial numbers for you. Okay, so what have we got within the starter solution? So we've got this list view with a button, the same as I was building up, but a little bit more time and energy spent on it to make it look nicer. We've got it listed by in this case, it looks like by the category. So we've got a kind of report going on here. And again, I could bring in some of those pictures. Just makes it a bit more visually appealing. So I can go into the details, and I've got a lot more sort of objects in here. I've got drop downs, its location, and its category. So the costs going on here, what else? The date, some fields formatting, in this case into dollars. We could change those into pounds at a later date. Some dates and a little date picker here. So lots of nice little objects, a nice big view of the object. And again, if you notice that the design is very nice here, they've got a header color, a solid sort of black line here with the navigational sort of controls in here. We've got some details about the object on the left-hand side in one color, and then on the right-hand side in a different color on the background, we've got the sort of picture and in this case a sort of transaction of what's happened to that object. So let's look at some of the things that we picked up from our design and what do we want to happen. Well, one of the nice things is to look at maybe doing some kind of signature capture. So maybe we could have a look at doing that. So I'm just going to bring up my tool called Reflector that enables me to beam my iPad straight to the screen. So let's bring this up to this file up to FileMaker Server, so we can share that with the iPad. So I'm going to set a password for the file. It's going to close the file, which is normal. and upload it to my FileMaker server, which is a bit of software that in this case I've installed on my own laptop, but you could have that on a premise server or out in the cloud with one of our partners, or in your own data center for that matter. So that's being uploaded to the FileMaker server and opened with FileMaker Pro again, but this time it's on the server and I'm being challenged for a username and password. So already a bit of security going on here. Okay, so let's have a look at the iPad and how does that look. So there's FileMaker Go. This is our free app to download and start using locally. So you can have a look at it, and it comes with some solutions already in there. As soon as you connect to the server, then you've got to be part of the licensing program, of course, but it's free to download and have a look on your iPhone, your iPad. So how do you connect in to the system? So I'm going to open it up and have a look at go and have a look at some hosts. So I click up to the top hand side here. You can see that I've got recents and some on the device. So it's possible to build a custom app and actually have it work locally on the iPad, which is a great facility. I've seen people using it for product catalogs and that kind of processes when they're in conferences or fairs or so. But in this case, I'm going up to my server that's in the cloud, if you could imagine. And let's have a look at the inventory file. I can see it there. And again, I'm being challenged for a username password. One of the great new features of 15 is that you can save it into the keychain, which is the sort of the secure repository for username and passwords, and then you can. This iPad actually hasn't got a Touch ID on it, but you'd be able to click a button here, and then every time you go into this file, you could just use your thumb or your finger using Touch ID and password protect it that way, which is amazing. Anyway, so logging on. So it's a slightly different view, as you can see, between these two layouts, even though they aren't the same file. And that is because within this system, we've got a little script that runs when the solution opens, and you go straight into the relevant layouts. In this case, of course, it's into tablet and into the product details. So it goes straight into that layout instead. So we can get in here straight away, which is great. So let's look at changing this layout. So I'm going to switch to the same layout here. Maybe flip to the espresso machine so we're on the same layout, and I'm going to do the same here. So that's down at this icon here. So there's the espresso machine. There you go. So we're on the same record, the same item. And what I'd quite like to do is maybe add a sort of signature in here. Now, what would make more sense in this file? There's some details around the actual device, but then there's a transaction sort of process where they have some kind of lot of product code as it comes in, what it is. Well, that's obvious, but coffee coming in, and the number of units. So there's 10 that are coming in, and then as you go through, you could add adding a new record as you go through and adding new details in there. Well, what'd be nice is as it comes in, we do a little signature for it. So let's see how we would do that. So I'm just going to go into Edit Layout, and you can see that it's just in list view, same as we've been using before, a top bar and a body bar. So I'm going to get rid of this description, move this over a little bit, and then I'm going to put a signature capture field in there. So for that, I'm going to go into the Field Picker tool, creating a new field here, but make it a signature. I'm going to have the label inside it, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. That's a bit too big. Let's make that smaller. There's the signature bit, and over in the inspector, oops, disappeared all over the way on the right hand side. There you go. Bring that over. So the signature in the data part, we've got a placeholder text for when the field is empty. So here I'm going to say please sign. Let's see how that looks. Aha. Okay, and another thing I needed to show you. So yeah, that's great. We've got please sign, but it's moved position. So let's show you how we would do this. So I need to fix some of these objects as I've moved them around. So again, in the inspector, I said I was going to come back to this. In the positioning section side of it, we've got these auto sizing tools, and they're anchoring this object to the northeast, south, and west side of the layout. So in this case, I want it to stay top and right, and these other objects I could just have floating. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks great. So as I stretch whatever, I mean, it will be on an iPad, so it'll be a fixed rate, of course, but you can see how it works and how it grows, would sort of resize itself on different screen sizes. Okay, so let's see how that looks over on my iPad. So because I've done the work in FileMaker Pro, of course, it's on the server, I've made the changes live, but now on the iPad, I get to see those changes and test them out. So in this case, I can go over to please sign. I'm clicking on the button and I get the option, lots of different options, taking a video or a photo, some audio. You can use the microphone to record a conversation or background noise level. Barcoding, very, very useful for stock systems. And a signature. That's fine, and I'll actually go through and just show you that. So clicking on signature, I can then sign away, as this is maybe somebody taking out some or bringing in some stock in this case. And that's great, and it brings it over. That's fine. You know, that's absolutely great. But what would be nice, maybe we'll just increase the sort of usability of that and put a very quick script on that. So if I just go into layout, and I'm going to right click onto this object and make it a button. So you can make anything a button, including a field. Again, it's just a very simple single script, single step. And the one I'm looking for is insert from device. So even though I've put in the start of device, I knew it was something device. There you go, there's the insert from device, a little bit of description in FileMaker Go, which is the iOS app. Enter a content from the device into a field, which is exactly what we want. So let's choose that. Lots of different options to this very simple script step, but a lot of different options. Like I was saying, all the different things that you can do within an iPad. The one we want, of course, is signature. And you can add a message, a prompt, you know, sign above, for example, and the T's and C's maybe of the of why they're signing. You know, you agree that you're going to give this inventory back in 30 days. And what else can you do? Of course, you need to specify where that signature is going to go, and in this case, it's within the signature field, the one we just created. So great. Let's OK that. And exit the layout to save it. And then if I go over to my iPad again, clicking just a single click on that, please sign, should take us straight into the signature capture, which is great. Much better user experience. Okay. So let's have a look at a few other of those sort of goals. One was also, you know, who took this out? Well, that's an absolute cinch. Again, I think it makes sense within this transaction part that we have that bit of data. So who is it? And that could be as simple as just a name field. You could call it whatever you'd like, but we could bring over name. And it's useful to point that out, actually. Let me just save that, and you can see as I brought it in, it's not brought in the same look and feel as the other objects on there. So what you can do is just choose an object. You could manually just have a look in the inspector and see what it's built of and recreate that. Not really recommended, but what we could do is have a look at the style. Sorry, we could look over here and selecting the object you want to copy the style from. We could go over and copy the object style there, go over and paste it over to the object that we want. Okay, so it's actually that. So great name. Mike brought some in, and maybe Tom took out 4 items and signed as well. Okay, so you can see that we're starting building it up. We've got a signature capture. We've got some information. I think the one was a description, so we've got a description code already here, so that's already hitting it. We've got some stock information here, and I think I'll show that to you. Now, this is quite nice. This is a bit of information here where we can maybe say the reorder is 5. And actually, if I just make that different, because you can see units on stand here. So maybe if we make that 2, let's go back into the transaction and do another transaction. So another 4 go out. And you can see that this bar here has changed, not in stock, order more. So we're doing some sort of business intelligence based on this field here of when we should order. So let's have a quick look at that, see if we can dive into that. So it's just a bar. And we've done some nice little things where we've put in a placeholder text, which is great. But then we've got a hidden object underneath that appears on top when it hits the stock level. So that's a nice little bit of functionality that's in there. Okay, so the other one was maybe we could build some kind of report on the stock. So let's have a look at doing a little bit of a textual report. So we're going to go into Edit Layout and click on a new report like we did before. But in this case, we'll just give it a name Report, base it on a computer, but we're going to choose Report this time instead. And this will take us through a little wizard to help us out with some pictures to explain what the textual bit means on the left. So in this case, we want to do a sort of a subtotal, a report with maybe some numbers around it. So let's have a look at how we do that. So we can go through. We can choose some items. So let's say, the category, that's the one we want to sub-summarize by. That's the sort of main heading, if you like. Of course, the name, the item would be great. Manufacturer, units on hand, maybe stock level. Yeah, and that'll do for starters. So click Next. So that's the information we want to see in the report. And then organize by which label. Well, that category seems to be a good one. And sorting by category is fine as well. I want to add in a summary field, which we'll go and do. So what we want to do is the total of, let's see, a count of the item, let's say. And add that into the report. And also we'll add that into the grand summary. Okay. So the last bit here is to create a script. All this does is just mainly it does the sorting based on the category. So it sorts the report on category. So let's go through this. So it never looks correct first time. So let's just go through and see what's happened here and tidy it up a little bit. So we've got the stock value. I have that on there. The units on hand. Let's drag that over. Yeah, that looks fine at the moment. I don't think we need this repeating category here, and let's see how that looks. So we've got a field here that's because I've been clicking in and it's created a record, so let's get rid of that one. Yeah, so we've got a very simple report, grand summary, how many items. We could put the text, maybe total next to here. There you go. So we've got that total down the bottom there. It's been sorted by category, so we can see each inventory item in here and a little bit of intelligence in there. What would be good, I think, is to change, like we did with the list view, is just to change the fields to a minimal edit box. I think that would make them look a little bit nicer. There you go. And again, you could put your logo on there. You can change the look feel to make it your own report. But it's very simple to start building up these relatively simple reports to give you some business intelligence. So I think that's hit most of the sort of requirements, at least on this very simple system. So that's it for the demo bit. So just let's go back to the keynote and make sure that I've covered everything. So let's look at what we did cover today. So we looked at how to start, so the 3 ways of starting, either a completely blank file from a spreadsheet or into one of our starter solutions, one of our templates. We then looked at how to import some data into both a new file from a spreadsheet or into a starter solution, how to change that starter solution based upon a methodology of designing custom apps. We've looked at including the users in squint testing and focusing on goals and including those users in the testing. We then looked at trying to achieve those by building some layouts, building some scripts and buttons and functionality, but keeping those goals in mind, that we can hit the business goals that are going to make the custom app solution and obviously the end user's life much more pleasurable. So I hope you enjoyed today. I hope you've gained some valuable knowledge. We're going to go to questions in just a minute. We run a lot of webinars here at FileMaker. We really try and support you in your journey to either creating your own app or giving you the knowledge to go out and use an external consultant to come in and help you build it. But to give you some of the knowledge that you can start with. If you really do you've got the bug and you want to go and learn a bit more about developing a FileMaker, one of our biggest partners in the UK is Transmedia. They've got two locations in London and one in Bristol. Their website's transmedia.co.uk. So have a look at them, see when they're running their next course, and sign up if you wish.